Afternoon, and welcome to this session that we have concerning the MBA and EMBA value for your future life. And I'm very happy to welcome you. We are presently on the campus in Singapore. So contrary to many other countries, we can operate here in Singapore with some social distancing, but we can still operate. And we are welcoming our students. So we have already welcomed the students from the Executive MBA who started in October. And we also welcome the students from the Global MBA because they have also started here in Singapore. So we are very happy to have them on campus physically in presence. And I'm also very happy to have 3 participants with me. So we have alumni from the both programs, that is from the Executive MBA program and for the Global MBA program. So I don't want to monopolize the speech that we have here. So I would like everyone to present himself and herself. So in that case, you will know who is present with us today. I have a list here of the persons who are present here, but I will start with Stephenie Teo. Can you introduce yourself? I don't know you.
Hi, Cedomir. How could you not know me, right? You're my very first professor since I went back to school.
Exactly.
Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm Stephenie. I'm very honored to say that I'm one of the very first batch, pioneer batch in fact, right, for the Singapore cohort of the EMBA program. Very honored to have been taught by Professor Cedomir himself, and he actually really grew us, with a very difficult topic. The first module that we went, after a long time of being out of school, I must say it has been indeed very rewarding, right? So I'm from Bank of Singapore, and I look after the learning and talent initiatives in the bank. We help them to scale their workforce capabilities and make sure that they actually are developed to their fullest potential. And I think what I really enjoy about the program itself is not only, of course, Professor Cedomir's program, the network that we have, with each of the cohort, but also more importantly, right, the brain creativity juices that has been fed on. I think that has been very energizing for me. Thank you, Cedomir. Over to you.
Thank you very much. I just forgot to introduce myself. So Stephenie has indicated, my name is Nestorovic. I'm a professor of geopolitics, and I'm teaching in both programs for the Executive MBA program, but also for the Global MBA program. But the reason why I know Stephenie is that I am also the director of the Executive MBA program, ESSEC and Mannheim, that we have here in Singapore. So we have some other participants here. So I would like to call Divya, Tolath, in order to introduce yourself, just like for Stephenie, and after that we move to someone else.
Hello, everyone. Thank you again for having me here today. It's a pleasure to meet everyone and see familiar faces again. My name is Divya Tolath. I graduated in last year, so 2020. I'm sorry, this year has been a bit of a blur, but given that I was able to also have a bi-campus experience, I was in France earlier at the start of 2020. Now seems kind of a world away and pretty implausible for today, but I was lucky enough to have the experience. I currently work as an account director for Gartner, specializing within financial services and sales within the APAC and ANZ region. And I'm happy to be here and happy to be in the presence of other alumni as well.
Okay, thank you very much, Divya. I will ask Dirani to introduce himself briefly, please.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, first of all, I was having some audio issues at the beginning. Maybe you've seen me doing this with my hands, so sorry about that. My name is Dirani. I graduated with the Global MBA in 2018. In fact, we were the first MBA batch out of ESSEC Asia Pacific, so a lot of weight was on our shoulders. But anyway, we survived that test. I'm currently working in Standard Chartered in transaction banking. Prior to that, in SCB as well, I was working in the Treasury department, specifically in the liquidity modeling team. And very, very happy to be here and see some new faces from ESSEC. Always happy to meet some new people and expand my ESSEC network.
Thank you, Mo. We also have two persons who are not alumni, but maybe they will become alumni in the future. I don't know. So we have Johnny and Marc. Marc, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Marc NERVA. I'm the recruiter for the Executive MBA program, and I work alongside Prof. Cedomir on that program, as well as Johnny on business development and promotional activities for the program.
We lost you for a second, but never mind. We'll come back to you later on. Johnny, can you introduce yourself briefly?
Hello. Hello, everyone. Thanks, Poof, and introduce myself. My name is Johnny Liang, and I'm in charge of Global MBA program recruitment in APAC region. Very happy to have a time to spend tonight with you guys. And I believe later on we have more time to talking about this program, which is a 1 year, very wonderful 1 year full-time programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Johnny. So now you know practically everyone who is on this panel. And we have some big questions for all the participants here. And of course, the most important question is the value of the program that they were going through. Because there are many questions about the value of the program. Why so? It is because it is asking from your parts to engage time and also to engage money in order to participate to this program. So automatically, the return on investment or the value of the program is coming into the equation, inevitably. And this value of the program is also posing a problem today with the pandemic in order to see how versatile people are, how well prepared they are for the situation when we have uncertain outcomes, either coming from the pandemic, either coming from the elections, either coming from the disruption of the supply chains or whatever. So we live in a world which is quite unpredictable, but we are making programs. So when you make programs, you don't change the programs overnight. That is from 1 year to the other. And the question is to know how these programs are resilient and how these programs can answer even to some uncertain situations. So this is my first question for the panelists that we have here. I don't have one, let's say, order of the people who are coming to discuss first. But the question is this one about the value on the marketplace concerning the program. And we have people who have finished programs practically last year, and we have people who have finished programs some years back. Executive MBA, a little bit different from the global MBA. So I would like to know what do you think about the value of the program, especially today in these uncertain times? What are you bringing with you? What are the areas that you like it very much in the programs? Are there some areas that maybe in the future we should explore? So this is the conversation that we can have here. I don't have the order of people who want to participate. So if we have volunteers, but I say in my class, if we don't have volunteers, I will designate the volunteers. So, so in that case, everyone can participate. Is there someone who wants to start first?
I think I can go first.
Please, Stephenie.
Right. I think, I mean, for me, I've actually stepped out of the EMBA program. It's been 5 years already, right? And I think we really still talk very fondly about it. And actually, to your point earlier, right? I think anyone who embarks on the EMBA program or master's program, we always consider and contemplate what is the ROI, right? You're going to spend a lot of time, you're going to spend a lot of money, right? It is not in 5 digits, but it might be even more. And at the end of it, if you look at, the current marketplace, there are a lot of MOOCs programs that's out there, right? There's Open University, short programs, there's also Coursera, I don't know, Udemy, you name it, there's really a lot more. And again, if we look at the marketplace today, what we are actually looking at is skill sets and competencies, right? You take a data science course and then you earn a data science certification and you probably can, pass off as a data scientist. But having said that, 5 years ago, the reason why I've actually decided, right, to spend the time and money, right, of course, it's not only the paper qualification, but more importantly, it's really that structure and a master's program gives you, right, the exposure to the thought leadership of the different academies, the exposure to different universities where we are being, acquainted with. I think that gives a lot of breadth. But also the structure and rigor of the curriculum as well. It is very well planned, right? You cover from politics to economics, right, to even human behaviors and organization design as well. So there is a spectrum of well-planned activities that actually help you to put together what is needed in today's, what I call a very VUCA, very disruptive world. So it sets the foundation for one to be prepared.
Thank you, Stephenie, for this introductory remark. We'll go back to maybe in depth to some of them. Divya, Mo, who would like to embark on this?
Yeah, I'll just add to Stephenie's points. So from my personal experience, when I decided to do the global MBA, obviously, like a lot of people, I was asking myself, is it worth it, right? I mean, like Stephenie has said, you can get a very, very particular, very specific skill sets for a much cheaper price. But the point is that the question isn't about, what is the skill set that I'm getting out of that MBA? It's more about what business acumen skills am I building from that program, and also how am I interacting with people from various industries and various ways of thinking, and how do they interact among each other? These type of advantages or these type of learnings, these are not certificate-based advantages or outcomes that you get from the various or numerous online courses that you can find, or the camps that you can find for, let's say, some coding class. So those are some of the advantages that I got out of the global MBA, and I'm actually enjoying those advantages as we speak in my current role and also in my previous role. So definitely the return on investment, or the ROI, should be also perceived not just from what skill set would I get, but how will my mind be molded after completing such a program.
Good, thank you, Mo. Divya?
Yeah, I mean, I think to piggyback on what Stephenie and Mo said, as eloquently as they've put it, I think you can't really quantify exposure accurately enough. The people that you meet, the peers that you're engaging with, the different understanding of different departments and facets within an organization is very hard to quantify. That knowledge is intangible. So no matter how you get it or what you make of it, you are now entrusted with that. So what you do with that is really up to you. But I think the sheer exposure to all of this is immense, and it's not something that's quantifiable.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this opening discussion. So if I'm going back to what you have said, and this is also the conversation that we have among professors and among the people who are managing the program, the point concerning the curriculum is to identify what are the areas that we would like to put the emphasis on. Would we like to, let's say, put the emphasis on soft skills? Will we put the emphasis on hard skills? Where is the digital? Will the digital be in between of them? Should we introduce more artificial intelligence? Should we introduce more something else? So all these are very important questions concerning the skills that we are going to give to our participants, and that we can have one, let's say, so-called traditional approach in order to have a holistic presentation that is starting from accountancy and going to politics, going to economy, etc. Or we can concentrate in some areas. The danger of concentration in some areas is that maybe this area is important today, and maybe it is not going to be important in the future. So that's the problem that we have there. And I would like to have a conversation with you, since you're working right now, you have been in the program, the concentration on digital, from your point of view. Is it something that we should have in all programs, or do you think that it is something which is happening today, and maybe in the future we won't need to concentrate on this very much. And since you are coming from financial institutions, sometimes it is interesting to see how this is going to be seen from the financial institutions or from the other industries' point of view. So I will keep Stephenie later on. I will ask maybe Divya to start on this, and after that we'll move to some other people. Divya, what do you think about the digital side?
I mean, I've got to say this before I even preempt the digital. I think ESSEC does think pretty progressively about kind of leadership and thought process to begin with. You can see this in kind of the cohort dynamic with 50% being women, kind of the leadership board as well being represented highly by women. So I think ESSEC is pretty progressive in kind of some of their learnings and their understandings of what's happening in today's worldview. And in that vein, I do think that digital should be and is not something that we can run away from, but should be interwoven within everything. I'm sure Mo and Stephenie will attest to this as well. In today's world, you cannot necessarily hide from digital, whatever that might manifest into. And maybe that will evolve in a couple of years as it has evolved exponentially in the past couple of years. But there is no running away from digital. It's here to stay. And it really depends on how and I guess the commitment on ESSEC's part to really weave that into the curriculum. And you can see that happening currently.
Mo, what do you think, Mo?
Yeah, absolutely. Fully agree on that. I just wanted to emphasize one point, is that when we say digital, what do we mean by it, right? It can mean so many different things, so many different people. One person can think, that's a data scientist, right? That's going digital. Some other person can think, no, that's being a project manager or product owner or anything of the kind. It's a massive, massive spectrum. And I do believe actually ESSEC touches on various aspects of that huge spectrum, whether it is, let's say, coding, statistics, and all that jazz. And you go all the way to product management, which is a massive, massive field on its own. And being in the ESSEC program was the perfect opportunity for me to, get exposure to those various branches. And, and I can tell you from banking, as an industry, and I hope Stephenie can agree with me on this one, we are now in a phase where it's literally a transition, and every single bank is going digital. This is like a big, big motto, no matter what bank you are, no matter what team you are. Now, it is unfortunately a bit slow when it comes to banking because it's such a big industry and such an old industry as well. We have to face it. But definitely the thinking from the top to the bottom is there, and we're definitely moving there. Now, the pace that varies, but we are heading towards that direction.
Good. Thank you. Stephenie, he asked you.
Well, yes, I couldn't agree more, right? Digital transformation is the top agenda of every banker today. But having said that, I guess COVID-19, right, has really attested to, the need for digital, and for those, who are a little bit ahead of the curve, probably had a little bit more advantage, than others. But the good news is, I would say that, this whole episode has shown that the human spirit is very resilient, right? Whether at whatever phase, you kind of accelerate digital transformation like almost overnight, and just like what the banks have done, right? Pre-COVID days, I'm in private banking, the face-to-face meetings are a norm and it's a must. But, right smack in the COVID, there is nothing you could do even to shake hands, or it's even a taboo, right, to shake hands with your clients. And therefore, it's so important that, the banks speed up in terms of our digital initiatives. We can't meet our clients, so we meet our clients virtually, and even signing of documents as well. That's also something, to keep us awake. How can we get the documents over and make sure that it's authentic as well? But maybe I would like to take a step back, right, in terms of what digital is all about. And I really, really agree with what Mo has actually mentioned. Digital is a very, very big topic, and most laymen would equate it with technology, right, with software, and what's the impact that it will do to our jobs. And that's where, the impact of technology will change and perhaps augment some of the jobs, or maybe even take away some of the jobs that we're doing currently today. But having said that, there is also a whole element of soft skills or what I like to call the digital skills that's associated with digitalization as well, right? The ability to be digitally savvy, the ability to be intuitive on using technology. If we are not coders, but we must also be able to understand the language of technology so that we can formulate processes surrounding technologies, right? And on top of that, there comes a whole scheme of skill sets, right, associated with using technology as well and appreciating technology, and notwithstanding ethical usage of technology. I think this is an area, for example, we talk so much about AI in today's world, right, machine learn, but at the end of the day, who drives the AI? It is actually human. Who codes the AI? It is the human as well, right? And that brings me to the whole, I would call it the whole regime of digitalization, right? It is not only just a hardware, but it is the software around it. So where this is concerned, I would say that to have a holistic education, the institution will need to focus not only in understanding emerging technologies as a trend, but also to visit the ethical use of technology, as well as the associated soft skills, human behaviors, human interaction, human engagement in the space of technology. And
excellent.
that's my 2 cents worth.
Excellent. I like this, especially the last part concerning the ethical dimension of it, because I remember when I had to design the program more than 10 years ago for the executive MBA, and we were pondering what is the place for the hard skills and what is the place for the soft skills. And when we introduced the digital, let's say, cluster of courses, many of my colleagues even asked me, well, why do you put so much digital in this? And I said, look, this might be the future, so we have to talk about that. They say, no, just put one class. You don't need to put 2 or 3 classes on this. And we resisted this, and it has proven to be quite successful and quite interesting. Second thing is the soft skills, and especially concerning the ethical dimension of it. We cannot do only the technical part or the, let's say, the economic part. We also need the ethical part in order to sustain this. And we are at ESSEC. And ESSEC is a school where we like ethics very much, where we like the humanistic approach concerning business. This was in the motto of the school. So this is something that we try to coordinate, that we try to compensate all the time. When we have something which is technical, we immediately have something which is dealing with the society or dealing with the ethical side of business. So this is something that we cannot put aside. It means that we have to work together on both of these elements. So we have to see how this is going to be unfolded, especially when we concern the pandemic and the COVID-19, because we have been forced to switch on digital immediately. We are now on Zoom. And this is one of the ways how we are going to cope with this. And I can presume that there is Zoom fatigue everywhere among all the people that we have here. And we prefer to be in person. But now the situation is to see when all this is over, when we are all vaccinated and when we can all travel again, will we do it? That is a very big question, because companies may be now used to Zoom, and they may prefer to keep you on some place and not permit you to travel, etc. So I would like to have your opinion about the future concerning this digitalization after COVID-19, when we will have the possibility to travel. According to you, will this mean that we are going to the life 1 year ago or 2 years ago, or do you think that it is going to stay? What do you think about that?
I actually think the COVID actually is a structural change to our society. It is not a mere, small shock and then we move on and back to BAU. Absolutely not. And coincide that with a whole new generation entering the market, where you talk about traveling, right? And when you say traveling, a lot of businesses think about carbon footprints, and you have a new generation coming in, and COVID has, ignited or catalyzed this, the lack of travel, and therefore we're kind of cutting costs on traveling and saving the carbon footprint and all that. So on one hand, you have a whole new generation entering the market. On the other hand, you have costs, have been cut on that front, and the way we do business, also like Stephenie has mentioned, has changed for at least the 5 to 10 years. A simple handshake now is on the back of our mind as should I do it or not? And therefore, the way we do business, whether it is a frontline team or a mid or in the back even, that has completely been disrupted for the better or the worse. And I think it is a good time to be, to transform our skills and adapt to this new market.
Thank you. Divya, what do you think about that? Is it going to be structural, or can we go back to normal? I want to be like 2 years ago, to travel everywhere, to see everyone. What do you think, Divya?
I mean, if you haven't heard the new normal as a phrase this year, then obviously I think you've been living under a rock, because no, nothing is going to go back to the way it used to be. There is a foundational change that has happened. And I mean, that being said, I do think for better or for worse, there are things that will come out of this that, will allow companies to become more progressive. And it might be a bit Darwinian in the sense that some companies will become relics of the past because they can't keep up with this change that needs to happen. That being said, I'm still a little bit skeptical. I think people get to forget history very quickly and tend to repeat their mistakes. So I'm hoping there are changes for the better, but human behavior has said otherwise in the past. So, hoping for the best.
Okay. Stephenie, I have one question for you. It will not be the same thing as for the others. Since it has been unpredicted, can we train people for the unpredicted changes? Of course, we have this very famous term, which is VUCA. So can we prepare people for the VUCA world? Can we prepare people for something that is happening that we didn't plan for, the black swan? This is another term that is used for what is happening to us. Or do you think that it's impossible to prepare? We have to give something which is general for any kind of catastrophe which is happening, but we cannot plan for one specific catastrophe. And I know that in banking, you also have crisis management, whatever happening all the time. So what do you think about that?
Well, a very quick answer to that, and for myself as a learning professional, I like to advocate, that it can be learned, it can be trained. And I would akin it to a general skill set, and that's resilience as well as adaptability. Well, there is no textbook to say, hey, this is your ABCs to be adaptable. This is your 1, 2, 3s, that this is how you do a startup. But more importantly, I think it is the digital mindset that we need to instill in people, that awareness for change, and that openness to know that things will not remain static, and how, of course, the circumstances were different, but it's important then how one actually senses the environment, and be able to adapt and be nimble in that situation. So a quick answer to perhaps, what you have actually asked, can it be trained? There is no one way to it, but there is actually other opportunities to open up the mind and help them to see things in different perspectives, and then be able to apply, in what we call that learning agility, things that they know in the past, things that they have experienced before, and then adapt it for the current and the future.
Good. I have, we are practically coming to the half of our discussion. If I'm looking at time, because I'm also the timekeeper, otherwise they will kill me. They will say, no, you cannot extend the time and so on. So my next discussion should be, again, one last question about the value of the EMBA and for the MBA. So now you are alumni, okay? So we have one, let's say, mindset before you are coming there. You have another mindset when you are finishing it. And you have maybe another mindset 2 years after, 3 years after, 5 years after. So I would like to know when you are telling your employer, when you are telling your colleagues that you have an MBA or an executive MBA, did it change anything? That is the perception that they have about you, not only perception concerning your qualities, but also concerning the skills that you have learned there. Are they spontaneously coming to you in order to ask you for some advice, or even to give you more responsibilities, or to give you something that you were not thinking about before? I would like to know what is the after shock effect concerning the MBA and executive MBA when you are going back to your employer, or when you are changing the employer if you did not go back to the same employer. So my first question is for Stephenie, because you were going back to the same employer. What was the change when you finished this?
I think on a personal note wise, I've definitely become more confident, right? Given the knowledge, the training that was actually put through. And I guess if I were to quantify, it's a little bit more intangible, what the employer has done. I definitely had more responsible. I took on a team, and the role grew. Hopefully, it's correlated to what I've done as an ESSEC alumni over here. But I think what probably stood out for me is that ability then to speak the business language, the ability to understand what's trending, and the ability to have higher order of thinking, right? And with that being perhaps hopefully manifested and appreciated, right? The role is not static. The role depends on how you build it and how you grow it and how others recognize your contributions over here.
What we have when we have students who are coming to the executive MBA or to the global MBA program, who already have some experience, is that sometimes they're not even aware about the opportunities that can exist outside of the role that they have, or the company they're working with, or the country they are living with. And this appetite is coming with the program. And I have seen this in the executive MBA all the time, because we have every year people who are switching careers even before finishing the program. So for the global MBA, that's different, because it is a full-time program, so it will happen later on. But in the executive MBA program, we have people who are changing jobs, changing companies, even during the program. So I would like to know from Divya and from Mo, from your experience and the experience of your classmates, did you also find this kind of situation or not?
Happy to go, or if Mo, if you're ready. I think the GMBA really finessed my ability in terms of critical thinking. I mean, you have this before, we all have experience going into it, but that finesse that comes in the way of thinking allows you to be entrusted by senior leadership now to become almost a sparring partner with regards to with regards to thinking about strategy or vision for any organization, or executing on that vision. You're entrusted automatically to do so because of, I guess, some credential that comes along with it, and also by merit, right? You do prove yourself in whatever organization you're in. But I think there is a level of trust that comes along with this credential, that you can get it done no matter what is thrown at you. And again, I think that's that GMBA, critical thinking, but now more than ever, the ability to be agile and pivot into whatever is necessary to kind of thrive. And I think that's been pretty key in kind of being successful right now.
Good. Mo?
Yeah, just to add on top of that, having an MBA or an EMBA, in my opinion, does not, guarantee by itself like the respect of a team, right? It's not like because you have this degree means automatically you can do whatever that is thrown at you. Like Divya said, it is a matter of trust, and you have proven this. And to prove that is, the ability, throughout that, from the MBA or the MBA to, take on a project, how you can dissect every single task, how you can delegate, how you can manage the expectation, how to say no to stuff, how to say yes to stuff. It varies on so many different fronts. And, on an incremental basis from having that degree, I was able to see how, the trust was being built at a much faster rate compared to, prior to joining the program.
Good, good. And the additional thing for both of you, for more from Divya, did you have this classmates who had one idea before starting the program? They want to be in this business, they want to be in this sector, and they change after that.
Of course.
Yeah.
I think we all said something in our essay or entrance conversation with either the deans or whoever was interviewing us at the time that drastically changed within a week to 6 months of being within the MBA. So I think we all had different ideas of what we wanted coming in, which is why it's so exciting coming into this program, because you're challenged by other thought processes and your peers who have different ambitions, but it shapes yours as well. So I think it's good to have that kind of flexibility in terms of what you might want next, because I think we don't necessarily fully know until we're in the process.
Good. Mo, do you have the same thing?
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember when I started, we were 20, at least 12 wanted to be in consulting. So yeah, midway, people start realizing that it's not, consulting isn't what they thought it is, right? Because it has this, very beautiful aura as a packaging, but then through the program they discover, yeah, that's not for me. And then they go into sales, pharmaceutical, technology, various industries, and that's where they realize that the world is much bigger than a couple of consulting firms in the market. So yeah.
You're right. Hey, Stephenie, since you are in touch with some of the former participants in the program, did they change their jobs, or did they change the country of living? What is happening to them?
Actually, half the cohort left the country. Some changed jobs. Others remain in their jobs. So I think to what Mo has actually mentioned is personal aspirations, right? They kind of find their I would say personal inclinations in where their passions lie, and what their interests and skill sets are as well. Very diverse, but I do see many of them has progressed and got a lot of joy in what they're doing.
Yeah, we have seen people moving from one country to the other, even during the program. So this happened in the executive MBA when they have been assigned to another country, or they have been assigned to another role, even during the program. I have one question for the two gentlemen who are here. Johnny, Marc, you are not here only to listen and to watch. You also have to participate. I have one question for you. This is a question that is asked to me and my colleagues very often when we are in the recruiting, let's say, period. Many students are asking, when is the right time to do a global MBA or an executive MBA? It is because they have to devote time, they have to devote money, they have to sometimes negotiate with the family members, with everyone. So it's not easy for them. So when you have this kind of question, what do you answer them? Johnny, would you like to answer first?
Okay, thanks, Prof. So in my point of view, when the candidates ask me the question, so which program I should go, whether EMBA or Global MBA, the first things I will ask them, okay, what's your career objectives? So what you want to do after the program? They need to understand themselves better. And back to the program itself, of course, executive MBA is a 1.5 year modular-based part-time program, and average age of the program is 39 years old, and average working experience is more than 12 years. And back to the Global MBA, which is a age range from 26 to 34, and the average age of the program is 30, and average working experience 6 to 8 years. So this is a totally two different level of the programs. I can say for Global MBA is more designed for younger managers. So for those people who have a full 5 years working experience, and they want to change country, they want to change job function, or they want to change industry, Global MBA is really the best program for them to help them to have these changes within 1 year. So this is my ideas for those candidates. Okay, if you in this age range, and if you fulfill these requirements, and if you have a certain career objective, you want to change location, you want to move overseas to study, to work after that, and you want to change yourself a little bit, move to in different industries, and even you want to do something different within the same company, okay, Global MBA is really best program for you. Yeah, so this is my ideas for Global MBA, but Executive MBA maybe a little bit different. It's more for CCU levels, and this part I can leave to Marc to give his point of view. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Johnny. Marc, did you hear Johnny?
Yeah. Okay, yeah, so certainly the two programs are different. I mean, I think one thing I always like to clarify with candidates is that an EMBA program and an MBA program lead you to the same qualification. It's just that the way the programs are structured and they're delivered are different. And a large part of that is to what Johnny alluded to, being the differences in age and experience levels. From my experience, the majority of people who do EMBAs do them for a few primary reasons. One of them being many of them will be technologists or from STEM backgrounds, so there'll be engineers and technologists, scientists even, and many of them would have worked within the technology, their domains. Respective domains, and if they want to move up into upper management, then as Stephenie said, they need to learn to speak the business lingo, right? But then there are also a lot of individuals who again, like Stephenie, who've been in spaces like HR and marketing and more commercial spaces in that sense. And again, there is also a need. They feel that there is a need for them to develop the mindset, the ability to speak through and design and determine solutions at a more strategic level, and those are the sorts of individuals that we find as well. We also have people who are looking to change jobs. It might be a slightly less common affair than the MBA, just because many of them are in already mid-senior to senior positions. Some of them are business owners. So, it is a little less common. But to answer the question of, is this the right time to do an EMBA? Okay, I'm going to steal a line out of Prof. Cedomir's playbook, which is the right time to do it is when the time and the resources are available to you, because we find that a lot of people think about doing an EMBA, and 3 to 5 years later they come back and tell us, oh, I was thinking about doing this a long time ago, and I finally realized that a lot of things caught up with me and I couldn't do it. And so then they find themselves waiting 3 to 5 years later. So if the opportunity is there, with your family and your job and all, then yeah, that would be as right a time as any for you to do it. And in light of the challenges we face with coronavirus, I agree with Mo when he said it's a structural change, and that's so important, because I'm going to make one bold statement, which I think the school would kill me for. And the truth of the matter is that no one needs to do an EMBA or an MBA. All the panelists that we have here could have learned all these things that they've been discussing right through reading articles or experience, and I'm sure they have, but the real value of an EMBA or an MBA is that it accelerates these lessons through the structured curriculum, as well as the discussions that you have with peers who are from different backgrounds, different experiences, all this, and through those discussions, the debates, the disagreements, even those are the real things that help to develop the mindset, as they say, and then allows you to change your approach and be flexible when approaching business problems. So the answer is when your time and circumstance allows for it.
Thank you. Thank you to both of you. Thank you to both of you. I will embark on what Marc has said about the value of the program, and what also Divya was saying at the beginning. We are a French business school located here in Asia, and we are offering this bi-campus experience. And it is not happening to all schools that we have on the roster in the FT ranking or whatever. So I would like to know from you. So now we have several years that you have finished this, or just 1 or 2 years, what will you bring out of this experience? Will it be one specific course? Will it be the interaction you have with the people? Will it be a change of the mindset? Will it be something, one particular way how to look at business that you did not think before? What will you bring? Of course, you may bring many things. This is what we expect. But if you have to choose, what will you single out when you choose after there's months of presence on the campus or visiting? As Stephenie has said, in the executive MBA, we have some visits outside. So what will you bring out of all this? And it's volunteer. Who wants to be first? I will not ask Marc and Johnny because they did not attend it. They're just recruiting people there. I will, maybe we'll start with Stephenie first because we have, let's say, a time window of 5 years. Did you finish 5 years ago, Stephenie?
Yes, it's been 5 years. Time really flies.
So after 5 years, what do you remember from this?
Well, 5 years, and I think we just met up with some of our alumni. We're just talking about it as well. I think what's the greatest takeaway from the program, right? And we really love the overseas exposure. And that was one of the reasons why we have signed up for EMBA, right? You kind of crash course, I don't know what you call it, 2 years or 4 years into a 1.5 years program. And at the same time, you also get the opportunity to experience different cultures, experience different, professors from different schools, because different schools have different philosophy and they bring a different perspective as well. And I think that was very valuable because you would have never done that, right, in a typical program or even programs that you do on your own or on an online basis that has been specially curated for you. And I think that was extremely valuable. We get to see the different dimensions, and more importantly, step foot in I would call it emerging economies, or even economies where the world, is basically your oyster, right? And that gives you a whole new, brand new view of how you look at the business world.
Thank you, Stephenie. Thank you. Mo, Divya?
Yeah, sure. I mean, if there's one thing, just one thing.
Just one, huh?
Because there's so many.
You will have many enemies after that, Mo.
I mean, the one experience that I actually really, I really enjoyed was the digital week that we actually had to do. Where we had to team up with people we'd never met before from the other campus. So we were in the Singaporean campus. We had to team up with people from the Surgery campus, and you get thrown this project at you for a real company, for a real problem, and you have 1 week to resolve it and present it at the end. At first, being a student, you don't really appreciate the intensity of it, but give it 1-2 days and it smacks you right in the face. And the output of it, the pressure by itself gives out such a nice output, if that makes sense. So you are pushed to work with people for 1 week at a high intensity. It doesn't matter if you work well with them or not, but that is it. That's all you get. And let's see what output comes out of it. And that is actually quite a real life experience to see how a person would actually perform under such pressure with a team that may or may not fit with. So that's basically, the best experience that I can remember from the program.
Good, Mo. Divya?
I would have to say probably the people that we were surrounded by. So whether that was peers, educators, Johnny, Alea, like everyone on the team who helped make this experience come to life. I mean, our peers, like Mo said, in that digital week, biggest asset, challenge, motivator, pain. It was all rolled into one. But I think there's no other, having that experience with your peers and with educators supporting you at the end of the day really helps you understand what you can achieve if you do things kind of with this willingness to learn and an open mind. And we all kind of luckily went in with that kind of attitude. And so definitely my peers were probably my biggest takeaway, and learning from them was my biggest asset. So
yeah, that's good. So this is what Moha said, and Stephenie also, concerning the intensity of the program. Because for the full-time program, you have the full year in order to go to them. But for Stephenie, no, that's impossible. For Stephenie, it is 60 days. So in 60 days, she has to do not exactly everything that you have done in 1 year, because we have to prioritize, but we have to concentrate during this 60 days and to choose what is the most important thing that we have to offer. And in the 60 days, they are graded like you. So it means that they have some work to do. And when they have some work to do, at ESSEC, we like very much teamwork. So this is why for practically all courses, you will have teamwork and you will have presentations, and especially PowerPoint presentations. We have seen so many of them that we, and you have done so many of these PowerPoint presentations that you can dream about them when you are going to sleep, and or not dreaming, sometimes nightmares having about them when you are not ready, when one member is not ready to send you everything about that. So this is something that we are doing at ESSEC very much. That is when we are looking at the intensity of the work that you have to do, we are not hesitating to overload you from time to time. But that's part of the life, and this is the way how we are doing it here. We are gradually, I'm just looking at the time, we are gradually coming practically to the end of this. So instead of having one last question for everyone, I will just open it to all of you. We have 5 persons here participating, including Johnny and Marc. In order to have one last remark, because the people who are going to watch this are people who are maybe interested in order to join the Global MBA program in the future, or the Executive MBA program. What would be your last word for them in order to tell them your experience? What were your expectations? How did you realize your expectations? Whatever, what you want to say for the end. So again, I don't have an order for this, but maybe we can start with the 2 gentlemen, Marc and Johnny. Marc, what would you say?
I would say to anyone who's watching this, if you're considering doing an MBA and EMBA, you know, it's all that there's so much information to go through. There's so many details, and in the same way that I believe that, you know, an EMBA or an MBA accelerates your learning, the best first step would be to come have a chat with Johnny and I, because, you know, if you ask us a question, we'd be very happy to answer it, but I guarantee you, you will have more. And it's just really the best way for us to help, you know, advise and give you stories about how other people have handled their enrollments and, you know, what they've gotten out of the program. And yeah, you know, come in, have a chat with us, and yeah, you know, let us help you through this.
Thank you, Marc. Thank you, Johnny.
Okay, so few words to the future participants. And a lot of candidates asking me the questions, is this year a good year to study an MBA? My answer is yes. Anytime you can start an MBA program. It's not stopping it because of the COVID-19 or because of any kind of the pandemic, because the world is changing. Digital transformation is changing the world and apply for all the industry. And also MBA programs changing you, and they bring you to the digital transformation platform. So anytime you should start an MBA program to transform yourself into new places, into a new levels. And talking back to the MBA programs, few things you should think about it. ROI is always the hot topic about discuss. And my suggestion is not looking at the immediate ROI. So MBA ROI is always looking at 3 years, 5 years later. And take some tools to do the ROI calculation, so you will see the big difference with the MBA and without MBA. And another thing is think about the location. So a lot of people asking about, okay, whether your programs move to online or move to offline. So is there any advantage if I take the offline module, online modules? I can tell you which is as a top business school, we are trying to keep the quality. It doesn't matter of offline and online. And as the Divya side, this is a new normal in the futures. And the blending learning, you should learn how to do the blended learning. And in terms of the time management and in terms of the personal focus, blended learning is a new future of the education. And so it doesn't matter whether have a COVID-19 or do not have this. You should think about your futures and start to prepare application right now. And as a Marc said, if you not so aware about your futures, if you're confused about this process, come to speak to us. And this is our job to helping you to clear your objectives and help you on the admission and the application process.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you, Jenny. Who wants to be first for the last word?
I'll just say my last words. I'm just going to keep it very brief. If a person wants to essentially go through a program to A, expand their industry knowledge, B, getting connected from people literally from all around the world, and C, go through a roller coaster of emotions up and down, the MBA or the MBA is the program for that person.
Good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Stephenie?
I'll just probably take a quote from Benjamin Franklin, right? He says, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest, right? And I would say that there is no good time or right time to do anything. If you have the heart to inquire, it shows that you have the heart to further your studies, and therefore take the plunge.
Thank you, Stephenie. Thank you, Stephenie. Divya?
So I would just say that this EMBA or MBA, you really get out what you put in. So just go in to be willing to give it your all, because it's 1 year, 1.5 years of really rigorous work, but the output at the end of it all is definitely worth it. And it just depends on kind of what you're looking for. But as long as you're willing to try and going in with an open mind, you will find some way to succeed.
Excellent. Thank you very much. One last word from my side. I would like to thank you all for your participation. And if you are interested in the program, you know the two persons that you have to contact, Johnny for the Global MBA program, Marc for the Executive MBA, or both of them. So sometimes you're hesitating which program is good for you. You are welcome here on the campus. You can see the campus just behind me. So this is a picture. This is not the real one, but it is the real campus that we have here in Singapore. And I was just looking at the global MBA students before coming to this room, and it was very nice to see the enthusiasm of the people who are coming to the program. Because without the enthusiasm and without curiosity, it will be a little bit hard. So if you have enthusiasm, if you have curiosity, you are most welcome. Thank you very much. And maybe we can meet in person in the future, near future, if it's possible. So it won't be the normal as before, but still, we prefer to have people in person rather than to have them on Zoom. For the moment, we have to do with this. But the blended thing that Johnny has indicated will probably going here to stay. So we are also adjusting to this. Just one anecdote, when we started on Zoom last year, when they are asking, even the professors like me, I have never been on Zoom before, but suddenly we have to switch on Zoom for the students and for the professors. And if you have asked this 2 years ago, we would say it's impossible. And finally it happened. So we hope that we can see you in the future. Bye-bye. See you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.